Hi, hello, my name is Gomer Joseph. I hope you've all been having a great day so far. Welcome back to another True Crime Tuesdays video. If you are new, I welcome you. Before I discuss today's case, I'd like to mention my Christian suspense book series, which is titled Never As It Seems. The first book in the series is available on Amazon, and you can read it on any device on the Kindle app for free. Not only that, but I do have another book series, which is the Juliet Clark book series, which is about a Haitian American teen sleuth who happens to be a successful true crime YouTuber. The first book in the series is titled Murder at Heart, so the links will be in the description box below if you're interested. Today, I'll be discussing the solved murder of Grace Packer. Now, this was a very difficult case to research. This is actually a case that is kind of close to home. So I live around the Philly area in the Abington district. So I remember hearing about this case several years back, and I was shook to hear, like, I remember when I heard about it, like, how shook I was to hear how a murder so brutal took place pretty much right under my nose. And this case, once again, is just very heartbreaking, but I do praise God that justice has been served. Now, I encourage you all to do your own research with this case and not to just look at my video for all of the information. Here we go. Grace was actually born as Susan Hunsaker in August 14th of 2001 in Norristown, Pennsylvania to parents Rose and Rodney Hunsaker. I do know that she had an older sister and a younger brother. Now, Susan, of course, I will go ahead and explain how, but she would later obviously get her name as Grace, but she was also going by Gracie. So Gracie loved her extended family, and that would actually make more sense later on in this video. Gracie loved having fun, she loved butterflies, and was known as a friend to the friendless. In February of 2004, Gracie is 2 years old at this point, so she and her siblings are placed in the foster care system since Rose and Rodney, who were Gracie's parents, were told that they couldn't provide a stable home for their kids. But I'm not sure what the exact reason is. I believe that there was allegations that there was abuse in that household, but again, those, I mean, I don't know that 100% for sure, like that's just allegations. But after she and her siblings were taken out of her biological parents' homes, she would be living with a Tiffany and James Acker, who actually did want to adopt the kids, but for some odd reason they weren't able to. In October of 2004, Sarah and David Packard fostered Gracie and her siblings, and they began to legally adopt them in May of 2005, but sadly, this would take a very dark turn. About a year later, David began to abuse Gracie, who was like 4 or 5, and Sarah knew exactly how disgusting. I believe she did. It's not really clear, but I'm I'm guessing that she knew how disgusting her husband was, and I'm guessing that she did nothing to stop it, but yet CPS couldn't see that this was clearly a dangerous environment for the kids to live in. In March of 2007, Sarah and David sadly officially adopted the siblings, and once again, Gracie was known as, she was born as Susan, but they legally changed her name to Grace, but I don't see why they would have to change her name in the first place when she already had one already. I mean, I understand changing her last name, but to change her full name, and especially, when she can remember what her original name is, it's just really confusing to me. In May of 2008, there was a report made of David's abuse towards Gracie, but sadly, there was no follow up, and I could assume that's because Sarah actually worked as an adoption supervisor. So I would just assume that she pulled some sort of strings to keep David from facing the consequences of his disgusting actions. In January of 2010, another investigation against David was made, and Sarah lost her job over misconduct allegations. Thankfully, David would get charged for abusing not only Gracie, but another girl he fostered who was like 16. But sadly, he was released for parole 5 years later, which I really don't understand. Like, you abuse these girls for who knows how long, but yet you only get 5 years when they are literally traumatized for life. But other than my ranting, for some odd reason, Sarah wasn't charged, but I believe her name was listed in a database where people are involved with child abuse cases. In June 2013, Gracie, for some unknown reason, was placed in a rehab center at 12 years old, but was placed in there again a year later, and again, I'm not sure why. So things seem to have taken a positive turn in Gracie's life. In January 2015, Gracie lived with one of the Packers' relatives in North Carolina, where she was happy and most of all safe. But for some reason, she had to leave this safe environment and live with Sarah again, who had just moved to Abington, once again, which is the district that I currently live in. But she didn't expect for Gracie to come back to PA. So Sarah and David divorced. So Sarah began seeing a Jacob Sullivan. Unfortunately, Sullivan would add to Gracie's trauma and would abuse her. What's worse is that the two of them were planning something wicked for this 14-year-old girl. So on July 8th of 2016, the unspeakable occurred. Sullivan would drug and assault Gracie while Sarah watched, then proceeded to tie her up, then left her in an attic with high temperatures. The both of them planned for Gracie to pretty much suffocate in that room, and I believe that when I first heard about it, this was supposed to be some sort of fulfilling of this dark, twisted, disgusting fantasy of theirs. But, when Sullivan went up to the attic and saw that Gracie was still living, he strangled this poor baby to death. And what's worse was that this demon placed Grace's body in a cat litter. So on July 11th, 2016, knowing that this girl is no longer alive, Sarah reported Gracie missing to the police, and I would assume that she called the police just to make sure that no attention would go to her. So, according to Sarah, Gracie wanted to sleep over at a friend's house, and Sarah couldn't explain which friend. Then said that she noticed Gracie gone that night with $300 missing, but waited 2 days after her 14-year-old daughter, quote unquote, because the actions of this woman is not motherly at all. So legally, 2 days after after her 14-year-old legal daughter was missing, you decide to call the cops after 2 days. But she claimed that Gracie would run away before. Abington police, y'all know good and well that this was fishy. So to one detective, it was fishy, and she noticed that Sarah didn't even bring photos of Gracie to report her missing. Like, you have a missing child, so you would want the public and the police know exactly who to look for. During the investigation, the detective, Cindy Petinato, I believe is her last name, she tried to reach Sarah for months, but Sarah wasn't answering, and that was clearly not the usual actions of a parent of a missing child. Like, you would want to be in constant contact with the police to even get some updates to make sure that the police are doing what they're supposed to be doing, but Sarah wasn't doing any of that. So when the police and the investigators reached Sarah's house, the house was empty. So they later find out that Gracie was no longer enrolled in Abington and wasn't even enrolled in a school in Quakertown where Gracie's younger brother was enrolled. On October 31st, 2016, on Halloween, which is very chilling, Gracie's remains were found by hunters in a wooded area. Clearly, this is no longer a missing person's case, this is a homicide case. And, with everything not looking well for Sarah, on November 11th, 2016, Sarah was charged with child endangerment and obstruction of justice, but was released with a $1,000 bond a month later. Yet, Sarah and her boyfriend Sullivan attempted to kill themselves before the end of the year, but when their lives were spared, Sullivan revealed everything that happened to Gracie that night when he was in the hospital bed. Since the police knew everything, Sullivan was arrested and charged for Gracie's murder. So later on in 2019, Sullivan was sentenced to death for the murder, and rightfully so. And I don't know when he'll be executed, but that day will be coming soon. Gracie went through so much in her short life, and I'm angered that she lost her life the way that she did, and those who were responsible for taking care of her were the same people responsible for harming her, and I hope that they never find any peace as they constantly think about that tragic fact. One reminder is that you never really know what goes on behind closed doors. Not only that, but it's a reminder that sin is everywhere. So since that's the case, it really shouldn't be coming to a surprise when you hear about awful actions such as this happening in your neighborhood or in your community. Something that we can take from this is to have a positive impact with those around you. If you are a Christian, then we should remember to have a godly impact with those around us and point them towards Christ. I thank you all for taking the time in your day to watch this video. If you did like this video, please feel free to hit the like button. If you have any thoughts on this case, please leave your thoughts in the comments section. If you'd like to see more videos from me, please feel free to subscribe and click the bell to be notified about the next video. If there's a certain true crime case that you'd like me to cover, go ahead and let me know. I will see y'all for the next True Crime Tuesdays, and I will talk to y'all later.